Okay, we finished Hanukkah, so before we start the new set of dinim, tomorrow night is what's called Nittel. It's the night before December 25th, which is in Torah called the concept of Nittel. Now there's two opinions. Is it Nittel with a tes or Nittel with a tough? The question is, was he born then? It was all about Yoshka, okay? J.C. Penney. So the question is it the day he was born, the day he died? He died. It's a very interesting thing, B'chlal, and tomorrow night we don't learn. The Minhag by Chassidim, for sure, they don't learn. So we're going to learn tonight a little bit the reasons why we don't learn and what Nittel is actually all about and when he lived, because there's a lot of discrepancies, even amongst the Goyim, when Yoshka actually lived. And there's even in Halacha, in Torah sources, there seems to be two opinions. In Seder Adoros was written a very long time ago. He brings down that Yoshka was a student of Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachya. Now, the famous Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachya, because the Gemara has an expression, there's a lot of pieces of Gemara that were censored. They were taken out of the Gemara by the Romans. Anything that had to do with Christianity or anything negative, the Roman censors took it out. Now already they're put back, in most of the Gemaras they're put back, and there is a lot of Svarim that have all the parts that were taken out that they put back in. But the Gemara over there says that you shouldn't be like the Gemara says like this: with the left hand you should push somebody away, and with the right hand bring them closer. In others, you need a combination of two. And the Gemara says, like Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachya, shadachal yeshu hanoitzi b'shtei yadayim. Not like Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachya pushed away Yoshka with both hands. So according to that, some opinions, it's obviously Yeshu, it was known as Yoshka, is called Yeshu in Halacha. We mentioned this many times. It's an interesting Darkei Tshuva that says, why is he called Yeshu? Because Yeshu is Rosh Tevis Yemach Shmo V'Zichro. Okay, to erase his name and his memory. They bring down sources in Psukim that's a Rosh Tevis of Yeshu, whatever. So the Poskim say the problem is because Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachya lived 180 years before the Churban Bayis. Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachya in Pirkei Avos was one of the earliest Tanoim of the Zugers, of the pairs. So Hillel lived 100 years before Churban Bayis Sheni, the Gemara says. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachya is way before Hillel. So according to the Cheshbon, when he lived 180 years. And Yoshka was born, he lived around 70 years before the Churban Beis Hamikdash, or 68 years, whatever. So the question is, he couldn't live that long, that he's a student of Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachya. So some people want to say there were two Yeshus, one in Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachya's time and one later. The whole question, exactly when he lived, he says, it brings it down, the different... even the Ravid brings the whole, so it's very complicated. But anyway, so what happened on Nittel night is either he was born or he was hung. Okay? So there's a lot of reasons why the minhag is that you don't learn the night of Nittel. A lot of reasons, and we'll mention a few that they bring down. In Hayom Yom, the Rebbe writes, the reason why you don't learn the night of Nittel is because when you learn on his night, so to speak, you're meisef chayes and klipa. When the Jew learns, they're adding life, and it's a klipa night, it's an evil night for his thing. So then you add chayes into klipa.
What can you learn?
One second. We'll get to that.
Is this the Gemara?
Huh?
Is from the Gemara?
The what?
The Gemara, what you bring it down.
About not learning?
Yeah.
No, that's brought down. The first one, they bring it down at the time of the Rishonim. The Ravid brings it down, but it's not in the Gemara. First of all, even if it wasn't the Gemara, they would censor it. They censored all the books. Shulchan Aruch was censored. The Gemaras were censored. A lot of things were censored. Okay, one reason, the one reason the Rebbe brings down Yom Yom from the Rebbe Rashab, because you shouldn't have chayes to klipa. Another reason they bring down, this is what the most people bring down, because those nights, nobody learned it in the house. Okay, in those years, if people wanted to be Medrash to learn at night, didn't have even electricity, whatever. They wanted to be Medrash to learn, and it was a very dangerous night because the goyim would go out killing Jews. You know, it was a terrible night. So the Chum decreed that nobody's allowed to go learn. Stay home. But it was sakana for people to go out, and therefore they said no learning. Another reason they bring down. What am I doing? Yeah, that's the first reason. Second reason they bring down because it's Avelis because he was born that night, according to those opinions, and therefore it's a mourning period of time, and when you're an oval, you're not supposed to learn. Another reason they bring down that, what does some Sefer say over here is, okay, because it's similar to that aspect. Another opinion says because he was killed that night, and they bring down, there's a pasuk in Chumash, V'neikev Shem Hashem. If you curse the name of Hashem, so they bring down that the Neikev Shem Hashem is Rosh Tevas Yeshu. Yud Shin Vav. So he said because not to learn, because it was a dangerous time to learn. Similar, basically a lot of the answers are very similar. Another reason is because they impurified all the Shmanim, the Heichal, and they were Meisei Nefesh, and whatever. The bottom line is, the minig is, in the Litvisher world, they really go learn. So they asked, a guy once asked Rabbi Yosef Shusterman, we know that the world stands on learning Torah. So if the Jews are not learning Nittel, so on what does the world stand? So Rabbi Yosef Shusterman answered them, Minig Yisrael Torah. So if it's a minig not to learn, that itself is Torah. But there's a simpler answer, because there's different time zones. So when it's Nittel one time zone, it's not Nittel another time zone. So there's always people learning in the world. But maybe he meant in this particular place where do you have the chayas of Torah. What? So okay, our minig is from sundown until midnight. That's it. Huh? What minute? Shkia. It's about down Shkia. Some people start at 6, some people extend it longer, whatever. Our minig is from sundown until... yeah, the Vagisa B'yem V'layla is generally speaking. When a person's sleepy, it's also not Vagisa B'yem V'layla. What?
No concept.
So there were a lot of people in Eretz Yisrael didn't keep it. The Rebbe has a thing of it. The Rebbe asked people in Eretz Yisrael didn't keep it because there were Muslim countries. The whole union of Christianity didn't exist in the Middle East. So the whole concept of Yoshka didn't exist by them. So that's why, but nowadays the meaning Eretz Yisrael, they keep it. It's another interesting thing. Some people keep January 6th, not December 25th. Because of also different opinions. And a lot of the Pelesh Chassidim Taka, keep January 6th. But our minig is December 25th. That's most of the world. Some people, by the way, are machmir. They don't want to come, God forbid, to learn Nittel. They don't learn a whole year. Because maybe, God forbid, they'll come to learn on Nittel, so they don't learn a whole year. No, they don't learn a whole year, because maybe Chas v'Sholem you'll
right? So you learn for break.
So it's interesting when Rabbi Weinberg, you know, the Shurim and Tanya are all from the Saturday Night Tanya Shurim that Rabbi Yosef Weinberg gave on the radio. So when Nittel fell out Matzoi Shabbos, when he was giving the Tanya Shir, so he asked the Rebbe, what should he do? So the Rebbe told me he should tell Hasidic stories. That's what the Rebbe told him. He should tell Hasidic stories. What?
Why is it that we celebrate or acknowledge December 25th or January 6th? Why not do it on
the Hebrew date?
Yeah.
Because first of all, the Hebrew date itself is debatable when it is. Some poskim made it Chas Tevis, but the Rebbe said because this is about him, it's a secular thing, and you go by the secular date. But there's a lot of things we'll learn about Nittel. Okay, they bring down a lot of reasons why it wasn't mentioned in halachos for them, the whole concept of learning, not learning a Nittel, because they were all censored. They were afraid to push it of the government to put in a halacha sefer, you're not supposed to learn Nittel because Yoshka was born, or died or whatever.
By doing this, by not mentioning his name, Christmas, this, that.
What some people do, they would do some sefer, other people bring down that the people would go to sleep. In many of the yeshivas, they would tell them, go to sleep at sundown, wake up at midnight, and then you can continue learning. And the Rebbe Rashab brings on in Ayam Yam, the Rebbe Rashab, the Masmidim, that the 8 hours bothers them, I don't necessarily like them too much. Chosing Nisholt. But again, it's the concept of not being massive in so again, he says it because in that day, Kufis Tevis has to do with December 25th. Some people have the 7th of January, some people give the 6th of January. So at the Ashkenazim keep, they write December 25th. In Poland, Russia, and some places over there, they kept January 6th. And some people hold in halacha that where you are, whatever that day is for the holiday, that's the day you keep. Okay. What?
It's the shortest day of the year?
No.
Almost 2 days.
The sun is
Not the shortest. Yeah, but it's not the shortest day of the year.
There is no relation to Asara B'Tevet, no?
It is, because I'll tell you something. And he brings down over here. In Shulchan Aruch it's brought down, there was Megillah Tainus, all the sad days of the year. Okay. So there's a day over there called Tes Tevis. Was the fast day. But it doesn't say over there why. What's the sad day of Tes Tevis? In Teis Chadashim, it says because that's when Yoshka was born, and that year was Tes Tevis. Therefore, they made a gzeira of a fast day on that day, but they couldn't write it. The reason, because then it would be a problem with the... So that's why, in fact, they bring down that Nittel, the word Nittel, Nun Yud Tes Lamed, stands for Neilad Yeshu Tes L'Tevis. Nun Yud Tes Lamed, Neilad Yeshu Tes L'Tevis. So, but again, in halacha they wouldn't write it because they would be killed. No, there was a time, the Gemara said, Batla Megillah's Tainus. There were fast days that the Chacham instituted for terrible things that happened throughout Jewish history. It's a siman Shulchan Aruch, by the way, in Tavkuf Pei, in Shulchan Aruch, there's a whole siman that has days that people used to fast. But the Gemara says that's now bottled, we don't do this. Because now you can't be fasting so much. Okay, so now, so, by the way, even if it's Friday night, there's also, you keep Nittel.
Oh, even if it's Friday night?
Yeah.
On Shabbat? Wow.
Yep. Okay, now, in Eretz Yisrael, some people don't have Nittel at all. I told you because the bottom line is that many of them were...
He's not
So what if you're being hired from the Middle East, like if you're Persian or Syrian, you've never had NITL, you've never had this concept, that's being hired.
In Persia, in Iran, they didn't have a lot of the American customs that all the Persians do anyway.
No, I'm saying
No, I'm serious. All of a sudden, the Persians adapted a lot of American customs. Here, they adapt. So then you can adapt this custom too.
made it worse.
So no, but I'm saying
Should they not go back to Iran? The Persian Jews in Iran, they should learn that.
I don't know, whatever the minhag was in those countries, they should keep. Here he says, Hasfardim, v'chein kamichud na'an shelita, einu machmir and klal, they learn the regular thing. In the Litvish yeshivas, they learn Nittel night.
But we are here now. We
Yeah.
have to hold.
yeah, but it's really hard. The whole rationale is really hard.
Machat shinus ramaisim, amechave v'mayim kim shavala gal teirah, v'chanam nekashim,